Hello students, welcome to science lesson. Today we are going to start lesson number 1 about forces. So first of all you need to do your do now task of lesson number 1 in silence and recall the names of some of the forces you know. You can pause this video. So in key stage 2 you have learned these two forces mainly, push and pull. So these are two different type of forces and we do this many times. So in key stage 3 we will learn about more about forces. So you will learn in this lesson about what forces can do, and you will learn about how to describe what is meant by an interactive pair. So this will be based on your key stage 2 learning, but you will build up some more knowledge in key stage 3. So what is a force? Force is a push or a pull. A force cannot be seen, but you can see how a force affects an object. So when you push or pull an object, you change the position of an object. So basically force is something which can change the position of an object. And when you twist, what can you do? You can change the shape of an object. So this is what forces can do. When you push them or pull them, you change the position of an object. And when you twist them, you can change the shape of an object. So basically forces are not just pushes, pull and twist, but it is something more. We will be learning about interactive pairs. We measure forces in newtons. So whenever we talk about some quantities in physics, we always talk about how we measure it. We need a proper unit to measure everything. For example, we take seconds to measure time. We take degrees Celsius to measure temperature. We take a pound unit for measuring how much money. Similarly, to measure force, we need a proper unit, and the unit to measure force is newtons. Forces can change the speed of an object. Forces can change the direction of an object. Forces can change the shape of an object. Look at these three pictures and discuss with your partners in these three pictures what forces is changing. You can pause the video for 2 minutes, discuss with your partners and come up with your answer. Well done if you get the right answer. When you apply force through bat, it slows down the speed of ball. So basically, when the bat applies force on the ball, it changes its speed. In the second thing, the ball gets squashed on impact. So there is change in shape of the ball. In the third picture, when a player applies a force on a ball through bat, it changes its direction and the ball speed up again. So again, speed is changing, but it's not slowing down, speeding up. So what about the interactive pairs? So when we talk about interactive pairs, it means forces acting and an object always acts in pair. So there are three pictures of a driving car, a parachuter, and a table. So pause this video, discuss with your partner what these forces are showing up. So what blue arrow shows, what force is shown by red arrow, and 2 minutes discussion time, and let's see how many forces you can figure out. Well done if you figure out the name of forces. If not, no problem. So there are so many forces named apart from push and pull. So on a driving car, the forward force called thrust, which is applied by the engine of a car, and the backward force called drag, which is due to the air on the car. In B example, a parachute, the gravitational pull is downward and upthrust force is upward. You can call this air resistance as well. On a table in example C, the downward force is gravitational pull and the upward force is the normal reaction force, because table is not moving, so gravitational pull is balanced by the normal reaction force. Okay, so next is we group the all forces into two groups. One group is called contact forces and the second group called non-contact forces. In contact force, there is a push or pull on one object by another object while touching it. If one object touches the other object, it is in contact. It means that force is called a contact force. For example, in tug of war, you apply a pulling force to the rope, and in a spring, there is an elastic force. What are the examples of contact forces? Friction, air resistance. So friction is a force an object exerts on another object that moves across it. When two objects are rubbed together, then friction force comes up in rubbing them together. And these two friction is always in the opposite direction to the motion of an object. So friction tries to slow down the object's motion. And air resistance is a type of contact force that air exerts on moving objects. If somebody is freely falling from some height, then air resistance is exerting because of the air particles are contacting with that person. So like friction, air resistance tends to oppose the motion of the on object. So always air resistance and friction will be opposite to the motion of an object. These are the examples of friction. You can see friction is always to the opposite, always opposite to the motion of an object. So second group is called a non-contact forces. As you think from the name, non-contact, when objects are not touching each other. So a force that pushes or pulls on an object without touching it is called a non-contact force. For example, a magnetic force. So you have seen when magnets are bring together, they have attraction or repulsion between their poles without touching them. And some other non-contact forces are electrical force, acts between objects that are electrically charged. It is a type of non-contact force. Some like charges tend to repel, push one another object with unlike charges. For example, you have seen sometimes you rub the balloon with your jumper and you can see it is attracting the hair. Gravitational pull is a non-contact force as well. When you throw something, it always goes down. So here are some forces. Discuss in your partners which forces are contact forces and which are non-contact forces. You can pause this video for 2 minutes, discuss with your partner what force you think is a magnetic a contact force and which force is the non-contact force. Pause the video and come up with your answers. Well done. If you come up for your answers. So air resistance force, reaction force, tension force in the string when something is hanging, frictional force between two objects when they are rubbing together. It could be between the tire of the car and the road. It could be between your foot and floor when you're walking. It could be between your hand and the pan when you're holding a pan. So thrust force, it could be upthrust into the water, it could be upthrust into the air, it could be thrust force by exerting by the engine of the car. So all of these are contact forces when object touches each other. Magnetic force, it doesn't touch, poles are apart, but they are still attracting and repelling, so that is non-contact force. Electrostatic force, when you rub the balloon and it can attract your hair, when you rub the balloon with the jumper and you bring it near to the stream of the water, it can bend the stream of the water from the tap. Weight force is the gravitational pull, and this is the all contact forces. So now it's the time to do your activity questions in your booklet. During that, you are allowed to discuss in your partners and do your work in your booklets. So here are the answers. You can mark with any other color pen. Well done if you got all of them correct. Here are the answers for question number 2, 3, and 4. Use any other color pen to mark your answers and do your corrections also with any other color pen. Well done if you have done all answers correct. Brilliant. Now, if you still have time to the lesson, then you have to high five at least 3 other people in the classroom and tell them something new you have learned today. And they will then tell you something different that they have learned today. And you can do this activity for next 10 minutes. Good luck.